Hey guys, it's me, Rohan Singh, and today I'm going to talk about a book. Now, similar to the time I talked about NCERT Exemplar, this is a book which I think is going to help a lot of students currently in the class 10th, who are giving the board exams, even for class 11th and 12th. This is a book that has helped me a lot and a book which I refer to many times, especially when I'm having doubts. This book is You Like Mathematics Standard. Now, right off the bat, I'll admit that this is an expensive book, relatively expensive book. This is of about 500 rupees. It's not as expensive as some of the other books, but it is still quite expensive. So if any of you have any trouble affording books, especially of this type, then I suggest you watch my NCERT exemplar video to find out how that book is, as it is pretty cheap. But still, if you can afford this book, then I highly recommend that you get it. And I'll get into the those points later. Now, what is You Like Mathematics? Well, as the name suggests, it is a textbook in which students can refer to many times. They can solve sample papers. They can read about the questions, they can read about the different concepts, they can read about the different types of sums. It's basically like an all-in-one. Now, these type of books are made for class 9th students, class 10th, class 11th and class 12th. If you're underneath class 9th, then well, you wouldn't be able to get this book because they don't make it for those classes. And you have to look for some other type of books. NCERT Exemplar, R.D. Sharma and R.S. Agarwal, many other books are out there, are the books which I recommend if you're under class 9th, because you can't get those books, these type of books. I leave a link down in the description for you to get this book if you want to. Without any further ado, let's get straight into the video. The first point which I'm going to discuss is well-made questions. Now, I'm pretty sure that sometimes when you're opening a textbook or when you're opening a worksheet, you might think that okay, and you suddenly see the questions and you think that the questions here are either too hard or they are either too easy. So both ways you think that these questions are not going to represent most of the exam, and you'll not get good marks if you just practice only the easy questions and only the hard questions, because of course the real paper is going to be a mix of both easy and hard, and you need to prepare for both of them. If you only practice the hard questions, you might get perplexed by the easy questions, and if you practice the easy questions, you might get perplexed by the hard questions. And in that regard, I'll say that this book has you covered. Let me tell you that these type of books are made with CBSE in mind. So it's not like that when you're studying for this, it's like you're studying for another board. It's not like that. The most common questions in the board exams that the CBSE writes are the ones that will appear in this book and in its sample papers. But I'll get into that point later. The questions are really well made, they are thoughtful, and these are some important questions and not some off the jar questions which will probably never come in the exam, some useless questions like that. These are very topical questions that will definitely come in the exam, or at least have a very high chance of coming. The second feature which I'm going to discuss is variety of techniques. Another problem which I have with many other books or websites that offer sample papers or worksheets is that when they give you the solutions, they only give you one part of the solution, and by that I mean one way of solving the solution, when there are actually many ways, especially in a subject like mathematics, to solve a particular question. And while someone may find one technique easier, the other may find the other easier, and as a result there's a lot of subjectiveness that is involved, and for a huge book that costs so much, to give only one technique seems pretty improbable and unintuitive. Well, if you have doubts like that, then I have a solution, which is this book. This book has a lot of techniques, and by that I mean that when a question is presented, it will give you many techniques of solving that question. So if they give you a simple type of question and they'll give you a solution, it'll be a type A solution and then type B solution, and it'll give you another solution, and depending on whichever one you find the easiest, you can do that, and both of them are viable. It's not like one gets more marks than the others. No, both of them will give you the same amount of marks, and while you may find one easier to do, the other might find the other one easier to do. So as I said before, subjectiveness is involved. The third feature which I'm going to talk about is easy to understand. Now, one of the biggest problems which many students face, including me, is that some of the books which many of these big companies write, they write in a very complex way in which only the people of high grades can understand them. This book is not like that at all. The writing in this book is very easy to understand. and you don't need to analyze or just read a question 10 times over to understand what it's trying to say, or at least its solution. You can just read it once or twice and you'll understand. The rest comes down to practice, but that is a different part of maths. That's for you to do. The book is there to explain and type in an easy manner for you to understand, and in that regard this book does a very good job. And now the fourth and the last feature which I'm going to talk about is sample papers. The sample papers in this book are really helpful. I've tried them and I've seen most of the test papers that come out of this, the ones that are issued by CBSE, or the board exams of the last 10-12 years. Most of the questions from those exams are in this book, and I think that any child who purchases this book, his or her ultimate goal is to get good marks in the board exams, and I am one of them. And I think that's the reason the sample papers in this book are a pretty good thing to go out on. In fact, I think the sample papers of this book are one of the sole reasons people even buy this. So for the boards, this is the perfect book. That's why I would not recommend OSWAL books if you are only studying for the board exams. I mean, you can do it, and any preparation is good preparation as long as it's useful, but still overdoing something isn't really going to help anyone. So if you're only preparing for the board exams and don't really have many other competitive exams in mind, at least at the time being, then I recommend this book and its sample papers. And that's it. Thank you for watching my video. Subscribe and like if you enjoyed it, and goodbye.